back with Mr. James Carr, the head of the table for True Grit Wrestling. How's it going, dude? You all right?
I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm all good. So happy to have you back.
Be back.
We are here to big up and hype up the True Grit games. They are back.
Yes, our second show at Left Bank, which really excited about. The first one went really well. Obviously it was postponed, and then we had it in January, 15th of January, and complete sellout. All the seats were sold out, and we had standing as well. I think it was about 250 people there. So it was a really good event. Main evented by Nsereko and Rampage Brown, which was fantastic. You came along, didn't you? I think
I did. I was there. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. Venue was boss. It actually totally fit the Redemption sort of name of the show as well, obviously. So I think it was about 300 and something. God, if memory serves me right, I think they announced the attendance on the night.
Oh, maybe.
I
think
about 327 or something.
I think it would have been near 300, I guess, with staff as well, probably. Yeah, it was probably a bit over 250. So it was very busy, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Cool. It was good though. But yeah, it was a very good show. Like I say, main event was boss. Everybody there wasn't a bad match on the card for me. Thoroughly enjoyed. Each match offered something different as well.
That's a lot of people have given me that positive feedback, and I'm glad that people have noted that, because I really make an effort to make it like a variety show as well. And I think that came across well. And of course, credit goes to all the wrestlers that were on the show, because they all sort of understood their role and did it really well. And I think from sort of the pure grit wrestling with Liam and Kev to the more sort of like comical with Ace Matthews and Wing Commander Nash. I think you've just got real difference there, and but it worked. Yeah, everything just worked really well, and obviously, fantastic main event. Priscilla and Commander Sterling I couldn't believe, like, there were a lot of Sterling fans there, and I think by proxy Priscilla as well, who they sort of know through Sterling, they're a tag team, and that after the match with Nathan Black, the little bit that they had to set up the one that we've got going into the True Grit games, that was just like, that was fantastic. I was like, I was sort of, because I had my promoter, well, I was in commentary, but I was watching it, sort of looking at my watch like, oh, this is taking a long time. But it's the crowd are loving it. So fair enough.
That's it. It's not always a bad thing when things like that take the time, because say the crowd were into it. People still had the energy, and they popped huge for obviously the match announcement kind of thing. When the wig came off and everything, Priscilla just it was good.
And
I'm looking forward to that one.
I hate it if people have like. Sorry, I'm just turning the radiator down because it's suddenly got really hot in here. But I just want people to be able to get home after the show and stuff, because I've heard just nightmare stories of shows finishing at like midnight and fans can't get home, and or they just have to leave like 2 or 3 matches before the end, and it kind of sucks. So I'm always conscious.
It started about 7ish, didn't it? About 7:15, 7 o'clock. I think it was a solid 3 hours, but I think we was out by like 10. So
it was actually the pre-show started at 6:30. The main show was 7:30, and I think it was just after 10 it finished. For this one, we're starting a bit earlier because of that, actually. So it's 7 o'clock, and I'll probably aim to finish about 9:30, but knowing British wrestling, that'll probably go to 10 o'clock. So that's
if you book for 2.5 hours, you've got that 30-minute leeway, haven't you? Because things aren't going to overrun.
But it certainly won't go over that, so people will be able to get home, and which I think it's one of those things that some promoters don't think about, but it is important when because people travel a long way to some of these.
Yeah, I say, especially as soon as it's not banging the city centre. I know it's only a few minutes away from it, but it makes 2 buses as opposed to one kind of thing, so it can be tricky for people who don't drive. So it's it's good thought, but it's worth it. Looking through the card for the True Grit games.
What stood out to you?
Obviously the main event, as obviously it's going to be another challenge for the champ. But for me, I think that what I'm looking forward to is the tag match, the triple threat tag. I think that'll be top notch.
That'll be awesome. Obviously, we saw we saw a preview of that at the last show where there was 4 of the competitors in Crash Boat against Jet Marshall and Joe Wade. Now we've got Leon Slater and Alan Kay. They're not the tag team, by the way, just to confuse everyone. The actual tag team is Leon Slater and Jet Marshall against Alan Kay and Joe Wade versus Crash Boat. Alan Kay you had on last week actually as well.
Yeah,
I saw he reached out. When True Grit put a post out, so that was good. You had him on.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, he jumped on the back of that. It was a great chat, great conversation. Really, really nice guy. Turns out he's only a Mardy bastard when he's wearing leather trousers.
Yeah, he's quite a nice guy in real life. We shouldn't say that. He needs to keep the gimmick up. I love the fact that he's in with those 5 because he kind of sort of stands out because he's like big and strong one. But I just think that's quite a nice sort of difference to have in there, and he can sort of come in and just leather a few people as well, which is good. And I love him and Joe Wade together as Misery Business like that. It kind of started as a makeshift tag team on when we did the True Grit TV shows in preparation for Redemption. And they were against Crash. That was the first ever match actually. And during it and afterwards, I was like, oh, those two work really well together. Like they're both miserable and sort of got that dark gothic look and different styles of wrestling, but it works. Yeah, it works really well. And character wise, they work really well together too.
That's it. I mean, sometimes some of the best tag teams are 2 guys that have been sort of put together, and then the chemistry, and they just run with it, and it's the rest is history kind of thing. But sometimes you just get 2 guys, put them together, and they just work. Like say, it's just especially like your classic tag team thing where you got the big and small, strong and fast, or just moody and moody. It all kind of fits very well together.
Yeah, definitely.
But Alan was on about we got to talking about the YouTube channel, the True Grit, and he was on about it, and he sort of said it was a bit confused at first, but then when he actually sat down and sort of watched a few episodes, got his head around it, he was like, "This is genius." This is basically like your episodic build up to the live events, which is what you said last time you was on here, kind of thing. And he had very, very kind words to sort of say, it's genius, basically, what you're trying to do with it.
That's good, and I'm confident that once it builds up, it'll be something really unique for True Grit Wrestling. We just at the moment, it would be good to get it. It'd be good to get it more consistent. So we're doing like little half-hour shows every week. Maybe that'll come next year. Again, like. It's always like the vision you have in your mind versus the practicalities as well. And making sure, like again, license things is an issue with the Sheffield venue. Like we can only get so many shows on there to do the smaller ones, but at some point I'd like to be in a position where I'm putting out like a little half-hour show every week, and that's just like a little show, and that's ongoing, and then we just have the bigger shows sort of throughout. So we have like 10, maybe even 12 big shows a year. But that's I'm really viewing sort of this year as a bit of a building year and building towards that. We've got quite a few shows coming. We've done 2 series of the True Grit TV now as a pilot, and we've got 2 fantastic venues now as well for the bigger shows. Of course, Left Bank in Leeds, and we've got 3 more shows there this year, which I can tell you the dates now. I think this might be the first time I've told them live told them publicly, but we've got one on the 25th of March, which is a True Grit Games, which is going to be main evented by the girls for to crown the first ever women's champ, which we'll talk about that match in a bit. And then the next time we're in Left Bank is the 26th of August, which is a Saturday, and the 25th of November. And then in between those, we're going back to York finally, which you may know. Yeah, you may know where True Grit sort of did a lot of shows before COVID. That was kind of our grounds for a while, and we've been speaking to Millthorpe School, and they really want us back. Did you go to the Millthorpe ones where we had the rumble?
I didn't, but we talked about it last time. It's like York's one of my favourite places. You know, any excuse I've got to go there is. I never made it to the shows last time round, so I definitely want to make it this time.
It's good, yeah, it's good. And we're running our own bar and stuff there as well, so we'll still have like True Grit feel to it. And the room that it's in, it's their I guess their sort of school, one of the school halls, but they use it for events as well because it's so good. Like it just looks cool. It's got the big seating that comes down. It's even got like sort of big organ in the corner. If you've ever seen a picture of sort of red background with Dara Diablo on the ropes, which that's taken from that event. So it's got it's really like, don't let the fact it's a school put you off. It looks really cool in there, and I think it's funny that our two main venues are a school and a church.
Yep.
And I guess our other venue is a warehouse, is in Sheffield, which that's a school. So we got a school, a church, and a warehouse. There's very got quite unique venues, but they're all very good in their own right. Like the place in Sheffield is just set up so well, and that's all off the back of PPW, the training school there. That looks fantastic.
Yeah, maybe
there's some dates future that we got going.
That's it.
About some of the matches on True Grit Games then.
Yeah, go for it. Obviously we've discussed the tag team one. Obviously we've got Scotty Rock on the card as well against BA Rose.
That'll be good. I feel like that's a bit of a wild card match. It's not really like the first time they're facing. It's not really got a story behind it like all the other ones, but they're both like two of the sort of best up and comers in the country. And I was looking for opponents for BA Rose, and there was a few people I thought of, but I'd wanted to book Scotty for a while as well. I even said to Bia, I was like, I guess going behind the scenes, I was like, mate, this would be a fantastic match. And he's so humble. He's like, he should probably go against like another quick guy and keep up with him. I was like, no, like you're awesome, Bia. You're one of the. He's so humble sometimes. He doesn't realize how good he is. I was like, it will be hit your sort of brutality versus like his technique and speed will just be fantastic. I can't wait to see what that one's like. I don't know if you've ever spoken to B.A. Rose in person. He'd be a good person to have on here actually, but he is he comes across like in his character as this monster, but he's such a humble guy and like sort of downplays his own talent sometimes, but he's really good. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that one, whether it's straight matches, which he does a lot of those, or he's sort of smashing it with a deathmatch scene as well. And I think people start to notice him in that as well, which they should do, because he's you watch, he's the sort of guy you watch his match and if there's someone there that's maybe not sort of that interesting, or maybe they come with their friends, they're like, oh my god, this one's real, because they're smacking, because he's just so brutal in the way that he wrestles, but in real life, such a nice guy, and I think him and Scotty will be fantastic.
I
think it's Scotty Rourke's debut for me actually. I can't remember if I had a Rumble years ago, but it's certainly his first time having a match for me, and certainly since he's become like a bit of a star in his own right, because he seems to be killing it everywhere at the moment. So I'm looking forward to having him on, definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the names that seems to be up on everybody's list of wants to keep an eye on. Not that he's not already made it now, but he's going to be even bigger in like 2 or 3 years, kind of thing. He's going to be main event in promotions and stuff like that. I know RJ Singh had nothing but kind words to say about him, and Alan Kay bigged him up massively last week as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, just because, like I say, Scotty Rourke, and I'm hoping the rest of the fans take to him and we see him on future shows as well.
Yeah, definitely. That one will be good.
You've got the I tried memorizing the card before this, but I'm severely tired and my memory is like a goldfish, so I apologize.
That's all right.
You've got a couple of women's matches on. Obviously, you got the main event one, which we'll discuss last. But you've got another women's match that isn't for the title. Is it a four-way?
That's a tag match between some of the other girls that I guess were in the tournament as well, but they got knocked out in the qualifiers, but are so talented in their own right that I wanted to have them on the show. And we've got Rebecca Resner and Zizi versus Aurora Tevez and Melissa Fierce, so which will be because she couldn't do the TV tapings in the end, but she was replaced by Lucy Sky, who was also fantastic actually. But so that'll be her debut for True Grit. Melissa Fierce was against Natalie Sykes on True Grit TV. That was really good. And Zizi was against Rio, and she's a real up and comer and was fantastic actually. Her and Rio was pretty brutal back and forth match. So that I think that'll be an interesting tag match for sure. Rebecca Resnick normally tags up with Natalie Sykes, but Natalie's in the main event on this one, so I just thought I wanted Zizi on. I thought that would be a good match. Melissa and Aurora Tevez are doing very well, and I think that one will be awesome.
Yep, I fully agree. I think you've got four very capable people. Like I say, a couple of interesting teams. So we'll be interested to see how the dynamic sort of works.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. It should be a good match. You've
got another one. Have you seen Zizi live before?
Not seen her live before. I've seen bits on on YouTube and stuff, but never seen her live.
Yeah, she's really got a real presence about her as well. I didn't realize actually how tall she is. She dwarfed Rio, which is pretty. Not many people can say they dwarf Rio, but really tall, really athletic. But hell of a wrestler. I can sort of like you. I'd seen stuff online. I was like, oh yeah, she seems pretty good. And then when she wrestled for me live, I was like, oh yeah, I see what all the fuss is about here. She's really, her match was really good, and she's just got a real presence and look about her. As have all the girls in that match. So yeah, should be good.
I think that's the thing sometimes is like TV or the internet doesn't do some people justice, but when you actually get to see them live, they've just got this aura about them or there's something. You're just like, oh crap. Yeah, okay, this person looks like a bona fide, star kind of thing or wrestler. There's something about them that you just gravitate to. So by sounds of it, that's kind of.
And Melissa Fierce she's usually babyface, I believe, but she was heel in this match, and I think she was a bit I don't really do heel, but she was so natural at it. Never sure if that's an insult or not when you say someone's naturally heel, but some people are like they just come across like really heelish. Like she sort of came out and seemed very arrogant and very sort of confident in her match against Natalie Sykes, and it just worked really well. And I was like, honestly, I feel you should be a heel like more often because you did that really well. Aurora Tevez hasn't wrestled for me yet, so but I know she comes sort of with a good background and reputation as well. Rebecca Resner has wrestled for me quite a few times now as well, and she's improved loads since I booked her when she first came over here back just before it was like January 2020 before COVID. And sort of since then, she's been going to PPW and training with all those guys, and she's got a real fire about her now. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Awesome. And like I said, you can always tell a lot by where people train and stuff like that as well. And I think we talked about it last time. They keep coming up quite a lot now in other chats. But you just kind of know that they've been taught well. And if you see that on somebody's CV kind of thing, you know you're getting somebody that you can rely on. Another name that I was happy to see on the card is, I haven't seen him for a few years, but I've kind of followed him pretty much from day one, was Chris Ridgway.
I thought you were going to say him. I was really pleased to have him on because he was, you may remember, he was meant to be on the last show because I think Liam had to pull out and then I managed to get Chris Ridgway, who just happened to be back from Japan. And then we had to postpone the show, and so it went back to Kevin, Liam, so Chris went back to Japan. And then I thought I've got to have that match still with Kevin, Chris Ridgway because they've sort of had a rivalry years ago. They haven't had a match together, and they certainly haven't had a sort of pure grit style match together for years. So I think it will be, I think it will be amazing, that one. I can't wait to see it. I think we're so lucky to manage to coincide it, that he'll be free as well, because obviously he spends a lot of time in Japan, and I think that will be completely different to everything else, because it's got those pure grit rules with submission only rounds. How did you find that, seeing that with Liam and Kev?
Thoroughly enjoyed it, but I'm a massive fan of that kind of. I love just the ground and pounds, the technical, the sort of storytelling, and just the rounds as well. The first time I'd seen it live, it was like I said, it was different. It stood out, and I remembered it after the show. I kind of I was replaying it in my head, and I was like, that was a very, very good match. Obviously helped both guys in it, top notch. But yeah,
a bit of a behind the scenes to that match, though, of me massively stressing out on the show, which
really?
I don't think was apparent to the audience. But you may have noticed I've got my own commentary team now. I've taken myself off commentary, and I think this was the moment that I decided I needed to be off commentary, because I was on there, and they weren't we couldn't really tell the rounds on commentary, because they didn't really separate them between rounds 1 and 2, so we weren't sure. And it really messed up the commentary, because we didn't know that. And I was like, and I kept going off and like going to the runners, like, tell the referees like they've got to split them up afterwards. And then
back to the corners kind of thing.
Yeah, and then Neil, bless him, like just ran in the ring in the middle of the match and was like, "Come on, separate!" And I was like, "Oh no!" Like they're gonna wonder what's going on, like, because now there's 2 referees in the ring, and I was just stressing out so much on commentary. And every now and then I'll be talking, just trying to like normal, and then I'll be going to Sasha, was doing commentary of like, "You cover me," and I ran round to there, and I was like, "You've just got it, you've got to make it more clear with the rounds." And it probably wasn't as that big a deal, but at the time I was really just getting annoyed about it, because they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. And because I was on commentary, I was like, I couldn't direct the show. And afterwards, it was my sister actually, and I was like, "Oh, it was good. Yeah, that bit was a bit stressful." My sister was like, "Do you need to do commentary?" And I was like, "No, not really." And then I was like, I could probably get someone in who could, who'd probably do a better job than me anyway. And got Simon Hill and Asai Quinn in, who I think are going to be an awesome commentary team. I don't know if you've seen much of them. Simon Hill does commentary for OTT in Ireland, and he's just got a really good voice and very sort of like professional, good play-by-play guy.
Okay, cool.
And then one of the things I've really enjoyed doing the commentary with Nathan Black is he's so funny, like he's a heel, but he's so entertaining and funny. And I wanted to make sure that whoever replaced him was another funny heel, but if I could, quite a different to him, so it's not just like a replacement like for like, and people are comparing them. And I just thought, Asai Quinn, like he's got that kind of like awkward style of humor, like that sort of Alan Partridge, David Brent style of humor. I think he has, and I really find him funny, and I wanted to find a place for him on the shows, just because I find it hilarious, some of the stuff that he shares online. And so when the spots came up for commentary, I was like, okay, those two can work really well together. So hopefully that'll be good.
I look forward to doing that. But yeah, that would be my one thing, as you sort of said with the True Grit, was I think it was like between first and second round, it wasn't overly obvious, but that didn't take away from the match, so I wasn't going to.
Yeah, it was still a really good match. I just think it needs to be like clearer. I may even have
back to the corners. Have like 5 seconds and then back again, kind of thing.
Yeah, and we need a louder ring bell as well, because I don't think people could even hear the ring bell, so that made it a bit confusing. But you're going to have teething problems in the first show, and like as far as teething problem goes, that was probably, well, I suppose the first teething problem was it got postponed, well, that was a big teething problem. But then when it actually happened, I think it ran pretty smoothly on the night. And if we go away with like they're the sort of biggest problems of the night, I think we've been done pretty well, to be honest.
It's done awesome, to be fair. Yeah, I think that's, like I say, that's just a minor, it's a niggle. It's not even a problem. It's just a slight niggle. But obviously we've got the Sean only open challenge.
So for the benefit of people that perhaps haven't seen True Grit TV or been to our non-left bank shows, every show Sean Only has been coming out and doing an open challenge to it's almost like it's a rookie open challenge, and it's open to sort of newer wrestlers, and they come out. Everybody's favorite Fenton came out on True Grit TV, and he didn't fare too well against Sean Only, but he's each show he's been doing these open challenges, and now he's getting very confident with it, and he's starting to put money on the line as well. That's sort of the story that's going in there. But again, that all stemmed from I don't know if you're friends with him on Facebook, but it was he often like posts things on Facebook and like statuses about the state of wrestling today, and some things have been taken the wrong way by other wrestlers, and I think he means it perfectly innocently when he does it. But he has rubbed up people the wrong way sometimes by some of the things he's posted, and especially the newer wrestlers who are like, no, British wrestling is doing great, like why are you saying that? And I saw this and I was like, you know what, this is like, we can make this into a character. And I think we talked about this before, I want all my things to be like reality based, so it's kind of like it's a show but it's kind of connected to real as well. And I just thought that would be, that works for him. And even though he's doing that, and he does actually want to work with the newer guys, and he has his own school for Wrestle Island over a sort of Liverpool Merseyside way. So there's loads of guys that he can work, and it gives those guys an opportunity to be on a bigger show that they perhaps wouldn't be on at this stage, and just do a little match. And it works really well. And the two matches he's had so far have actually been, they're short, but they've been really good too. And it's a chance for people to see, newer guys as well.
Yeah. Like I say, it fits him perfectly. You know, he's kind of got that sort of air about him. Like I said, the Facebook posts would have been meant with like the best of intentions, just, kind of like critiquing something as opposed to slagging something off. It's more of a critique. Like, if you look at this, you can just, do this or this.
I think so. Like, I actually know Pete, Sean Only, like pretty well personally, and I know he doesn't mean like malice behind the stuff that he does, but at the same time, like, it was there, and it just seemed like a good opportunity to make that into a character and a storyline. I'm always like looking for those real life stories that we can bring in.
It's turning everything up to 11, isn't it? Like you said, you've got that trait about somebody who wants to help people, improve people. So it's not a hard sell to kind of twist it a little bit and be like somebody that thinks that they're better than everybody, or can point out what everybody does wrong, kind of thing, and just very sort of.
And he's a unique. He's a really good promo, and he's got a unique look as well, which I think stands out on a show. I know. When I've had, I guess, non-wrestling people watch my shows, he's one of the ones that does stand out. My sister, for example, was helping on the show. She's a wrestling fan, or she was when she was younger, but she never like follows it. But she was like, "Oh, I really like that Sean Only. Actually, he's just got a great look and really stood out." And I think, I think he does stand out, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially because he's tall. He's got a good build on him. I said the hair makes him stand out. Just the whole get up. It just looks authentic. So been a fan of Sean's for a while, and I think for that reason, kind of thing, is you generally always remember what he's done on the show.
Yeah, definitely. And I know firsthand, because when I was wrestling as Boris, we had a big feud at Rise that lasted like almost 2 years, and it was and it worked really well, and it was one of the sort of rare times where there was actually a long-term story that built, and it worked, and it ended up us having a very bloody chain match at Rise, and it was one of my favorite matches in that sort of era when I was doing Boris, and I think it was good how much the crowd got behind. Like, essentially, well, I was playing a fake Russian, but people liked it so much, and I think that story like really contributed towards that. So I'm hoping to like do similar stuff with him at True Grit. Not with me, just he's not going to feud with me. I mean, stories with other guys in a similar.
I think it's got to get to that point where it builds and builds and builds, and then somebody, obviously, he just comes back and bites him in the arse eventually, kind of thing. You know, he gets too cocky about it or something like that. That's something the fans can look forward to at every show. Is like, is it going to be this show? Is it going to be this show?
Yeah.
It's like, oh crap, here we go. Yeah. So talking about open challenges, I've noticed Wing Commander Nash is on the posters, but doesn't have an actual match lined up yet.
No, so he will be appearing. He's due to be in an interview at the moment, which will be entertaining itself. Just because Wing Commander Nash is hilarious. I actually was in a tag team with Wing Commander Nash this week, so I've been doing the odd shows. I've just been getting back into wrestling myself, sort of separate to True Grit, and we're a tag team this weekend. And tagging with him is just hilarious. Like, I sort of play like the straight-laced one, and he's just like the fool, or the silly one. But it worked. It worked really well. That was at PWFU it was near Stoke in Newcastle upon Lyme.
Okay, cool.
Or under Lyme, I can never remember which. But he'll be on the show, and Ace Matthews has been hounding him to be a part of a tag team, both online and previous shows. And I just love those two together because they're both just ridiculous characters. And I guess a bit behind the scenes, I don't think it ruins it, but they just kept interacting on Twitter, and it was just making me laugh, and I was like interacting with them. I was like, I just want to, this is entertaining me. Like, I think it can entertain the fans again, like bringing reality into it. And I was like, we're gonna build. Maybe you two could be a tag team. You couldn't be. And if they are a tag team, they'd be called Nash Boat. Obviously, a play on Crash Boat. And I don't know. Maybe I've got a very simple sense of humor. I just find that hilarious.
It works, man. And that's again. Sometimes makeshift tag teams. It could be like I'm trying to think. I don't want to say obviously like the Rock and Sock Connection or Team Hell No, because they're both kind of comedy-esque characters, but they both know the characters 100% and they work them very well. So I think, and obviously you've got Ace potentially, he could have turn on Nash and just give a kick in at some point. You always have that hanging over, or he could turn out to be a really nice guy and they go on for an awesome tag team.
I don't really know what direction it's going to go in the moment. Again, like a lot of it is determined by the fans, and like if it's popular. I mean, even like just me using wrestlers a lot of the time is based on how the reactions are on the night and stuff, and where I put people on cards. One of the best reactions from the last show, just to sort of go into the women again for a bit, was Rio against Charlie Morgan. Firstly, that was it was an awesome no DQ match. Again, was like very different to all the other matches, was really good. I couldn't believe like how popular Rio was. And like the point where Charlie Morgan was getting booed at some points because people just loved Rio, and she's kind of like, and afterwards I said to Rio, I was like, you're a babyface. No. And she was like, oh no, I can be more heel if you want. I was like, no, you can't. That was awesome. You're like my Austin. That was brilliant. But it was, I just I loved that match, and I loved the reaction that Rio got, and just the way that she's getting over as this sort of like absolute Terminator at the moment, but people like love her for it as well. Did you see the thing with ICW with her falling off the balcony and
yes,
it's gone a bit viral at the moment. Al Snow was talking about it this week. He was being a bit of a dick, really. I think it was a bit of a dated view that he had on the situation, and Molly Spartan got her in a sleeper on the balcony, and she fell down and hit herself on the side of the ring, and I think took out a referee as well. Everyone's fine, by the way, which people don't seem to be talking about. Like it's almost like all these people talking negatively about it. It's like they got worked. It's like, they're fine. Like that's kind of what wrestling's meant to do. And yeah, I thought it was great how much of a reaction they're getting, regardless of people's opinion on it. You can't deny that it's really getting people talking, and no one got hurt. So I think it's a bit of a and I know from working with Rio and seeing her wrestle that she's gonna be a star, definitely.
And well, the other name mentioned there, Molly Spartan, very, very good, very well trained. I'm pretty certain she wouldn't have done anything like that if she thought there would have been any chance of anyone,
no, not at all.
being hurt.
It's great. Someone I'd like to use at some point, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, so, but like I said, people are talking about it, and if it gets eyes on her, and obviously the women's scene as well, that's got to be a good thing. So, eyes on her. She's now going to be at True Grit. Eyes on True Grit, and I think she's definitely one that you could build, for main event status at some, going forward.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We've obviously got 6, fantastic women in that match as well. And what I'm trying to do on these left bank shows is kind of highlight a different division each time, so it's not the male main championship sort of headline in every show. So this one is the women, and then I don't want to ruin it too much, but the shows down the line are gonna highlight different aspects of the show as well. And that's really what I want to do with the left bank ones. And this one, I just thought we need a new championship. It's about time. Like, we're booking a lot of women now, and I never used to. I used to be as guilty as other promoters of just having that like one woman's match on the show, and that sort of tick that box, which seems terrible now, but that's kind of like how I sort of did it without thinking about it before.
Oh yeah.
And I've made a real conscious effort to make it sort of more 50-50. I think because we've got the sort of men in the pure grit as well, it's probably more like about 60-40 on each show at the moment. But I'm definitely made a conscious effort to have more women on the show, and I think the shows have got better for it as well. And some of the ones we got on are brilliant. We've talked about Rio. We've got Tonga in that match as well, who's just been sort of killing it over in Manchester. Does loads of good stuff with Future Shock. She had a great match with Lana on the last show as well. I think that was the first singles match at left bank, and I think that really sort of set the tone for the singles matches there. That was good. We've got Natalie. We talked a bit about her. She's again has improved so much, because when the sort of Natalie I knew before was not, I don't think she was sort of 100% committed to wrestling, but that was not really her fault. I think that was other people in wrestling. That was something to do with them. And now she's really committed, really talented, and has improved so much, and has just got another one with like real good presence about her and personality when she comes out. So I'm glad that she's got the opportunity to be in the main event of a True Grit show. Harley Hudson is pretty new to True Grit. I think she was I guess the opposite of Melissa Fierce. I think she does heel other places. You may know more than me, but I think she said that to someone on my show. She normally does heel of a face. I could be wrong on that, but to me, she's just such a natural baby face. Like, she's a very, very sort of likable character and person immediately when she comes out, and I think sort of very, very friendly. And the fact she's sort of quite petite, but also like quite strong as well. I think that just gives her quite a good character as well. And like when she like smacks someone who's sort of bigger in stature, but it still looks so realistic because she is quite strong. I really like her sort of style of wrestling. So again, not someone who's wrestled for True Grit a lot, possibly one the wild card in this group of 6 we got on this, but I think we'll fit in really well there.
She's still young as well, though, isn't she? She's I'm sure she's just in her early 20s as well, so she's got a long time, to build.
I think so. I've not asked her age yet, actually.
Based on,
but I don't. Yeah, I don't know how old she is, but I think early 20s probably seems about right.
So very good for her age. That's the point I'm trying to sort of realize. She's got years ahead yet to get better and better and better kind of thing.
It's like a very good presence about her when she comes out. She doesn't seem. She seems confident, like hasn't got that sort of nervousness that some younger wrestlers might have.
Just on the sidebar to that, totally blew my mind last week. Alan mentioned Leon Slater, the fact that he's only 18.
Yeah, when you started talking about age and confidence, I was going to sidebar. I was going to make exactly the same sidebar. Isn't that mental? How he's like wrestling GCW and he's like this huge star now. I was like looking on my card and I was like, crap, suddenly got this like really big star on my card because obviously he's from Sheffield, one of the PPW guys, but in the last sort of few months he's just become like this huge star everywhere, and he's like main eventing all the shows. He was against Rich Swann, I think, last weekend for Rev Pro. I think it was Rev Pro, and he's going over to GCW. I keep seeing him in championship matches over at TNT and other places, and I guess he's been on Progress quite a few times now. Him and Doris, the tag team, seem to be everywhere as well, and it's amazing. So that's pretty cool that he's done that. But very, very talented guy, definitely deserves it.
For an 18-year-old, it just totally blew my mind. Like sort of said, you just presume based on what you've just said, it'd be 20s kind of thing to come out and have the confidence and the style about him that he's got. It just goes to show how strong British wrestling is at the minute for me.
Yeah.
We've just mentioned two people who seem to be years ahead of where they should be. Confidence wise, ability wise.
Yeah, if I look at myself at that age, because I started wrestling, I was older than Leon, but I was still very young, about 19, and my first few years in, like, I probably looked ridiculous. Like, I remember, and certainly not confident. Just looked, probably. I mean, I didn't look out of place because everybody looked like that. We didn't really look like proper wrestlers on shows. We were just all kind of like playing wrestler really, and certainly didn't look as professional as some of the young ones now. So I think that's when people say like Brit Rest is dead or some of the stupid stuff they say, like you look at Brit Rest 20 years ago, because I was there and Brit Rest was. Yeah, it was on life support at that time. We were the ones keeping it going, but we certainly weren't as professional as the new blood that you've got in now.
That's it. You're talking about obviously new blood, and then the grizzled old schools. We've got James Mason versus the champ.
Which again, bit of a left field one. That actually came about. I won't tell you who yet, but originally Nsereko was meant to go against someone else, and originally I was meant to be using a different ring, and the ring hire and the wrestler happened to pull out pretty much at the same time on the same day. Or I think, in fairness, I think the ring hire was cross. I hadn't realised they had another show, so that wasn't on them. And the guy that pulled out, he actually he's over wrestling abroad, so I can't hold that against him either. But I put out a post for ring jobs, and James Mason got in contact with me, like, I can do it for you if you want. And I was like, this is JC, because I knew him from when we used to wrestle on All Star and other shows. And it was, I haven't seen you in a while, mate. And he said, I can do the ring job. And he said, do you want me to wrestle for you as well? And my immediate thought was, no, I don't have a spot for him. And then I was like, why don't I put James Mason against? Since like, who better to have him against? Like, he's an absolute legend. And Nsereko faced a legend on the last show. I put him against another legend on this one, and he's considered in wrestling, like he's considered one of the best in the country. Sort of this hidden gem, but like wrestlers always look at James Mason as like one of the best. And if you get put against James on a show, it's always quite exciting and nerve-wracking as well, because he's He has a very different style of wrestling. He's not a sort of guy you're going to speak to about your match before, and you just go out there and you do it. But it's magical, and I've had a match with him and it was brilliant. So someone like Nsereko going against him in a match, I know will be amazing. Like because he's such a good wrestler and he can wrestle anyone. And when he's in there with someone who's as capable as Nsereko, it's gonna be magic. And I think it will be a really good opportunity for Nsereko to do a different style of match, but also he's done a lot of that sort of old school British wrestling training with Marty Jones, Johnny Saint, and other guys. I think even Dave Taylor, of course, as well. He's wrestled with him, so Nsereko knows all that stuff, and now this is a really good opportunity for him to do that style. So that's a real sort of wild card, and I think it was just a good opportunity to I want my fans to see James Mason as well, because some of them may not be aware of like how good he is and what a sort of history he has. So it was to expose them to something a bit different, and that was really what I wanted to achieve from that match. So I think that will be really good, that one.
It'll be awesome, like sort of said, with Nsereko's training as well. I think it'll be interesting to see another side of him. I think he'll be able to bust out, like the chain grappling, joint manipulation, so that sort of style. And James Mason is sort of say his boss. It's going to be very much, I think, cord in the ring, isn't it? Sort of like, just feel the crowd, feel the moment.
Yeah,
they know where they want to go based on reactions. And I think it's going to be a quality match for that reason. And it's just going to be. I like the story as well that you've kind of you put forward with it. It's like you put in Nsereko through the ringer. It's like, right, last time it was Rampage, this time it's Mason.
Yeah,
you're making him like earn that title kind of thing, or
the true trials. That's what it is. Yeah.
So man, that's awesome. But it just leads up for future matches as well. Like who do you have next as part of the trials kind of thing? Once he gets past these two, if he gets past Mason, who's going to be the third trial kind of thing. It's interesting. It keeps fans fantasy booking as well, which is a massive thing of wrestling. If your fans are fantasy booking, you're doing something right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Who do you like to see Nsereko against? Legend wise.
I don't know, go forward. I think that's the thing, is like obviously you want a couple of big names, but then you want somebody in-house. I think obviously Liam Slater would be a great shout going forward. Yeah. No, he's not got the pure title.
They those two would be good together. I know they wrestled each other a bit before, but they're just they're both fantastic.
Yeah, I think Liam's the kind of guy as well that suits the main event. I think you could work a story around him, and I think those two would be very well suited together. You've got a card full of decent people, in fairness, and then you got names you can pull in, like Rampage and Mason, just to prove how good Nsereko is, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. We never finished talking about the women in that match. Actually, I realised I missed two of them out. We should mention them. We sort of veered off, didn't we, on Harley Hudson? Onto Leon Slater. But Gia Adams, we should mention. She's another one who's just come on leaps and bounds since I sort of last knew her before COVID. We were actually a tag team at North for a bit. Me and Gia Adams. Yeah, her and Boris Kozlov, which really random, but it kind of worked. But now, like, you can see the sort of training from, I guess, Rampage Brown and H.C. Drake coming out in her, because she's just going to be throwing people around in that match and battering them, I think. So she's a good one to have in there. And last but certainly not least, Ivy, sort of very loud vocal Ivy, the Steel City Siren, who just manages to get under the skin of the crowd that she's in front of so well. And I love the reactions that she's been getting, definitely.
That's it. You've got across the board, you've got a very good combination of talent, kind of thing. Like I said, you've got your lovable babyface, Natalie. I think she kind of comes across as being very likable. But then you've got Hudson as well, who's very much in that kind of role, strangely for her. And then you got Adams, and you just got a really good combination of styles, which will make for a very interesting match.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyway, what other ones we got on there? Oh, another interesting one, which I think it'll be fun if you get a chance to see the True Grit TV. I think it's the next one I'm releasing, episode 5, of how Nathan Black and Lou Nixon got together. That one should be good. If not, just people want to see Nathan Black get the absolute shit kicked out of him by. It's a proper, like, legitimate fighter. Lou Nixon is he's got a lot bigger and like a lot more intimidating than I guess because I've been out wrestling for a bit. I've seen like the change in everyone, and he's another one where he really got himself in shape. He's had all these boxing matches, and he does sort of kickboxing and MMA as well. And I guess on the other side of things, he's been doing all like the deathmatch stuff as well. He's just doing that in America with Drake Younger. And is his name still Drake Younger, or has it changed? I'm not sure, but he was, yeah.
I think sure it is. Yeah.
Oh, it's still. I don't know if I thought I'd seen him as under a different name, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But he's suddenly just doing. Yeah, he's everywhere, and I think that and. Nathan he's just got a good presence about, like, he's such a good character, so like again, like we're talking about Ivy, gets under the skin of people, and I think people will be raring to see, like, but it's also like big guy, can handle himself. I think that'll be quite a hard hitting back and forth match, and I know from knowing him personally that he's got a point to prove as well, because he knows that he can do the performance and the talking. He knows he's good at that, but he also doesn't want to be just known for that. He wants to be known as being a good wrestler as well, and I think he'll be going all out in that match to sort of prove that. Again, like bringing reality into it, like that's sort of the storyline going in, but knowing Nathan personally as well, I know he'll be going all out to sort of prove himself in that match as well. So that should be very good, that one.
Well, that's it again. It's a different kind of match. You've got never underestimate somebody who wants to prove their worth, kind of thing. Like something, if he was to get just to prove a point, that he's not just there for the performance side of things. He's not just there, for the talking. When the bell rings, the dude can actually put in a shift.
Yeah.
And if he wants to prove that, I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That would be, I think that would be a great one. What entrance he had on the last one as well. The lights going out.
That was I think I don't know what it was. It made me laugh at the last show though. The you had like sort of like 3 seated areas, and you kind of had like each seated area was a totally different character within themselves as well. It's kind of like you had that side was very, very sort of polite and all like, yes, tennis clap, yes, haha. And you had the middle ones, which were just your typical British wrestling fans, just like blah, blah, blah. And then you had the crowd over there that literally just stood up the entire time hurling abuse at the wrestlers. Or like just like one drink in the hand, just stood like blah, 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 blah. It was like, wow, Jesus. So me and my mate just kind of stood back, just like watching everyone like that.
Where were you sat or stood on the last show?
Stood very near the bar. I stood normally I'd find somewhere near the bar to stand.
Yeah, that's possibly where I would have been if I'd been running the show.
I think it's quite near, like there was a sort of not a merch table. The merch table was just off to the right of us, and the bar was to the left.
Yeah.
And Nash came out and joined us after his match. He was kind of stood around, and that's a booking at some point as well, because he seemed to piss off Rampage during Rampage's entrance, and Rampage just stood there shouting abuse at him.
At Nash?
Yeah. I moved away very slowly. But yeah, it's kind of like, Rampage comes out and he stands on the ring and he starts like, pointing fingers at somebody. And yeah, Nash must have caught his eye and he just went off on a verbal sort of tyrant at him. And Nash was just like that. I moved away. So I was like, well, that's a squash match for, down the line.
There we go. Got me thinking. Yeah, Rampage Brown versus Wing Commander Nash. There's a sound bite for you. Put that on Twitter, and Nash will he'll be terrified.
Oh, there was another one as well. Mr. Referee Lee Thomas.
Oh yeah.
We're obviously talking to Alan Kay last week, and he was all about like he always gets a bad rep. Lee abuses his authority and makes Alan's life a living misery. And it was like, we need a dressing gown on a pole match between the two. I mean, we was talking cage matches, and then we decided on a dressing gown on a pole match between Alan and Lee. So and we but decided that nobody would ever want to see that. So
they might do. Yeah, give me ideas.
But
why dressing gown on a pole match?
Well, I don't know. It speculated from like being a cage match to it was there. We're talking old school WCW with the the triple cages. But the fact that Alan's too old now, he could be asked climbing up to the top. So I was like, well, you start at the top, you get down to the bottom.
I see, yeah.
First person to grab a cup of tea and a biscuit wins. Then that escalated to the dressing gown on a pole because everything's better on a pole. So I think we just decided. As soon as we was talking WCW, we thought we'd put it on a pole. Channeling our inner Vince Russo.
Or you could have like the four corners of old age match. You'd have like a dressing gown, slippers, cup of tea, and a pipe. You can be it can be like an old school strap match where you strap together. You got to go to each four corner and get each one on, and the winner is the one that has the pipe and the cup of tea with the dressing gown and slippers.
There's like a lazy boy outside the ring, and you've got to go sit in it with everything on and just puff on the pipe.
I might be doing those matches if I'm getting back into wrestling. Yes, make it a triple threat. I'll put myself in that one.
That's boss. Obviously we've talked about the matches. I think we mentioned there's Priscilla.
That's the only one we've not talked about. Yeah, that again that will be. And I hope that we get so many of Sterling's followers again, because it was funny when I came in, there were people like there already who I think there's some of they were customers at Left Bank when we first got there. And a couple of them came up and was like, I heard like Jim Sterling's on your show tonight. That's amazing. And later on, I went for a drink with some of my mates. And one of the guys does the music for True Grit. He came with us, and he was like, that's crazy. You got Sterling on. How did you manage to get him? And I was just like, oh, what you mean the PPW trainee? I knew they had a big following, but it still surprised me, like, almost like how much of a celebrity they are. I hadn't taken in like how popular they were. I knew they had a big following on Twitter and stuff, because obviously I can see that by the numbers, and they had their own YouTube show. But I was blown away by how popular they were and how over they were, and I hope that is like that on this one as well. It was it was like sort of 80s Hogan coming out. Possibly won't like being compared to Hogan, but I'm talking about the reactions.
Yes, it's good to see though. That they can have that kind of they get that positive reaction, and people are all for it, and it just puts a smile on your face kind of thing. And obviously, Priscilla's been around for a lot longer than people think. I think people forget how long they've been around.
Wrestling a long time. So I knew Priscilla years ago before they did the character Priscilla, but that must have been like 2005, initially. So we're looking almost 20 years ago, and I think that they have been wrestling that long. And perfect opponent for Sterling. Obviously they're a tag team, but I think together they'll be great opponents. I know they're both really excited as well to show what they can do. I think that will be a good one. It's also it's quite important to me to sort of establish a bit of a pride division as well. So I've been speaking a lot to Sterling and Priscilla about this, and they both seem very keen, and I'm keen on it as well. So again, it offers something a bit different. And it just sort of highlights how many wrestlers we've got in this country that are from the sort of pride LGBT community. And I want to sort of build that at True Grit, because I think at one time, and I've spoken quite a lot to Priscilla about this, it was quite difficult been sort of in that community and been in wrestling, because there was a lot of sort of homophobia about and all that sort of stuff, and it's quite nice that True Grit can be a place where that's not the case, and we can have sort of a separate division. And I wanted to I need to be careful that it's not almost like it's just okay, that's random, that's like a novelty match on the show. Like, I want to just give I guess wrestlers from that community an opportunity, and I'm sort of working with Ollie and Sterling to make that happen. And actually, should be quite a good announcement on this next show to do with that, actually. But I'll wait for you to hear that one. But that's certainly, again, is something a bit different. And I think also it just adds to the variety as well. We're talking about, like, I want every match is so different. Like, you've got you sort of got the Pure Grit division, which is usually obviously Kev comes out with his stripper gear, but when they're wrestling, they're quite straight-laced wrestlers in trunks, very sort of traditional. It's not really a traditional style of wrestling, so there's no pinfalls, but it's sort of it's still quite traditional fight style, and the way they look. And then you've got Priscilla and Sterling, who are just like these outlandish, very colorful characters. And I think that's cool that you've got such different styles on the show, but both are really entertaining in their own right, and just gives it that big variety, and there's something for everyone on True Grit. That's sort of the goal.
Fully agree. Like you sort of said, talks about redemption, and that's exactly what I kind of thought of the show. It was, the variety was there, but at its core, it was still wrestling, which is obviously what people go to see. But there was enough variety there where everything felt different, but the foundations of it was solid. It was wrestling. It was pure. It was like, yes, okay, this is what, regardless of how it looks, it's still what we came for. So if that makes sense, you've got that variety, but at its foundation, it's still what the fans love.
And everyone was pulling out like great wrestling matches as well, whatever sort of style they're doing. But no, I like and again, I was probably guilty of this back in the day, of where you'd have a poster of wrestlers, and you'd just have, there'd be like 10 like bald white blokes. I'm one of them, but and it's not even about being, well, no, it is about, I guess, being inclusive and stuff. I was going to say it's not about being sort of like woke or whatever sort of negative term someone might say for it. For me, it's just like, it makes it more interesting as well, having it's not just men. Now we've got like almost 50% women, and then we've got people sort of that sort of like look and act like Sterling and Priscilla, and we can sort of build maybe a LGBTs division to make people feel inclusive there. Got a lot more sort of people of color on shows now, which I think is important. And again, I want to be clear, it's not like ticking boxes. I think it makes the shows better as well, and it makes it sort of, because you've got such talented performers from each of those sort of different categories as well. And is category the right word? I'm not sure, but I think it's also good for younger people that are watching it, and there's just more people that they can maybe identify with.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Thank you. Not so much for wrestling, but with like films and TV shows and stuff now, I'm fed up with like people moaning about how you've got to have like a token black person or a token Latino, or a minority covered here, or a gay person there. And it's like they're doing it just to tick boxes, but it's not. It's like, if you want your film or your product to appeal to a wider mass, why would you not have people in it for a variety of people to identify with, to root for? That's the point. It's someone like they can enjoy, or they can watch, or they can root for. Same with wrestling. You're not doing it to tick boxes. You're doing it to make more people happy, to appeal to a wider audience as well, kind of thing. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but you want to appeal to a widest audience as possible.
And for me, I was like, well, it is the right thing to do. Morally, that's good as well. Yeah. Like, you want to be including everyone. But even if you took that away from a business point of view, I'm like, it's pretty good as well, because you're just appealing to larger group of people, and like, so it's just win-win. And I don't understand when people get upset about it, because I don't really know who's it's harming. And it's certainly made my shows better. I think that Left Bank one was probably the best show I've ever put on, I would say. I think it was really good, and probably the most varied as well. So it's certainly improved the quality too.
It's a hard call for me. I've seen a lot of goods. I can't remember the name of the nightclub, but I still like the very first show you put on at the nightclub on Kirkstall Road. I think that was the True Grit Games.
It was the one so we done one True Grit Games before, that wasn't at Kirkstall. The ones on Kirkstall Road, and those two were fantastic actually, so they've got to be up there. But the first one was War of the Roses, which was Yorkshire versus Lancashire. But
that's what it was. I knew there was something there.
But for me, and this might be the best one, or this tied with Left Bank, I don't know. But I guess this one has a personal reason as well. It was the TG Cup. So it was a one-night tournament for the TG Cup with just 8 wrestlers. And the reason I like that one so much is because Chris Travis got into the finals with Rampage Brown. Both of those 2 wrestlers put in an awesome performance that night. But what we didn't know at the time was Travis had already been diagnosed with cancer at that point, and he put on such a performance, and it was just like, wow, that's amazing. Like, he did 3 amazing matches with he was against tag partner Kirby in the first one, then he was against Cyanide, and then he was against Rampage in the final. All 3 matches were just outstanding. And it's like, he didn't complain once. We didn't even know he had the disease that he had at the time. And for me, when I found out, it was like, and when I look back on it, I'm like, that for me, that's almost that's what True Grit is all about, like, to the extreme. Like, that's showing True Grit in its sort of, in his most bold, purest form, that he did put on such a performance when he had such health issues sort of behind the scenes that he didn't even talk about. Like, very, very brave, very sort of stoic performance. So that one's really got a place in my heart. Certainly of the newer shows, and probably since we've done those Control ones, I think Left Bank has knocked it up a notch, definitely back into the new ones. And I was really pleased with how that went.
That's another name, another future fantasy booking match, Nsereko versus Kirby. Absolute blinder. From a fan's perspective, I just think that'd be again, seeing another side of Nsereko kind of thing.
I know have worked together elsewhere, and I think they know each other quite well now. So I think they would have a great match. And again, Kirby is he's a True Grit original, so there may be on something there. Could be another trial at some point.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Obviously, I've got him on next week. He's actually agreed to come on, so I'll be speaking to Nsereko next Wednesday.
Oh, that's good. Have you spoken to him much before?
Never directly, never face to face. Just on socials a couple of times. So I'm looking forward to it, because I think it's always nice to actually get to speak to somebody that I've not spoken to before, and kind of get a feel for them. It just makes it feel a bit more like you've got a connection. Then when I go to shows, it just makes it feel a bit more emotionally attached to the matches.
I know Nsereko, Wes is his real name. I know him very well. Like,
squad goals.
Yeah, even more so the last couple of years, we've been us 2 and our mate Stuart have been running ultra marathons together. So yeah, just by the very nature of ultra marathons, we spent a lot of time together just chatting shit, running for hours and hours on end. So yeah, but he's very, very easy to speak to, very laid back. Again, very humble but very talented person. I think you'll have a good one speaking to him. Definitely ask him about his upbringing in Uganda and then moving over here to Sheffield in Yorkshire and going to uni and stuff. I think that stuff is he's talked a bit about to me is like it's pretty interesting, his past. I think he'll be a good one to learn about all that sort of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, it's always nice to, like, obviously wrestling's wrestling, you know, we all love it, but it's just nice to hear sort of a bit more about people's background sometimes, and you know how they got here, kind of thing. So I think, and especially if it's interesting, especially if it's not just a generic upbringing kind of thing. So it sounds like it should be. I will be sure to ask the questions next week then.
Ask them about Disco Wes as well.
Don't worry, that was going to come up. Disco Wes and what was it? Disco Wes and it was Nash, wasn't it? I mean Nash.
Boogie and the Geek, yeah.
Boogie and the Geek. That's it. Thank you. That was the job. Because I know obviously I've spoken to Nash previously, and that's come up in conversation before. So I saw I was making reference to your squad goals photo the other day of you and Nsereko and Nash.
Oh
yeah. You know, you got like in your head, and it's obviously like NWO style. Versus reality. It's like
oh, in fact, ask him about what his views are on a UK faction. So like he's been desperate to like do a faction for years.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Nice. I agree with him. I don't think there's enough of them kicking around, to be fair. I would fully support some sort of like a British strong style kind of development, like a faction. I don't think I've just said British strong style, and obviously that would be Tyler Bates, Seven and stuff. But like a group of guys just running roughshod through the British scene.
Well, awesome. We quite liked it at PWFU this weekend. We're like a True Grit faction. Like that's our faction. There is True Grit. Yeah. And I think Crashboat are going to be coming up on the next one. I was like, oh, it's five. Like, we're such good mates. So, like, that's a cool little faction that we've got there. And we're all quite, well, Crashboat are quite similar to each other, but we're all very different in terms of, like, our personalities and wrestling characters. I don't really have a character at the moment. I need, because I'm only just getting back into wrestling, but I probably will do as I get back into it.
That's the good thing. I think some of the best factions, individuals, working really well together, kind of thing. So that would be an aspect of it itself. So, but I've just seen we've hit the hour and 15 mark.
Oh, we have, yeah.
This is going to the longer it goes on now, it's going to be a pain for me to edit. So I'll start saying, obviously, the point of this episode was to obviously catch up with yourself and big up, the True Grit Games a week on Saturday. Yeah. So we've talked the card, we've talked about everybody on it, and honestly, not saying it because I'm talking to you. I've been hyping this up to a few people. I've got a couple more people coming with me this time.
That's good. You got your tickets yet?
Yes. Yeah. Got them a couple of weeks ago. That's sorted. I think it looks like a very solid show. It's a very good show. Same as Redemption. You've got a good combination variety. Like I said, the main event being the women's championship match.
Yeah, I'm excited for. Yeah, I love it when I get excited by. I'm going to watch my own shows, even though obviously, like, I kind of know what's going to happen, like, or at least the broader show. I'm still so excited to see how it all plays out, and I'm looking forward to not having the stress of trying to run a show and do a commentary at the same time as well. I'm sure I'll find plenty to get stressed about because that's just my personality on show days. But if you see me, say hi. I won't have to be doing commentary this time, so that'll be good. Yeah. I'm hoping once the show's going, it won't be quite as much to do this time, but there probably will be.
Expect to see you at the bar then. Once that first bell rings, get yourself to the bar and just sit back. And then I think jobs are good. And so do you, obviously I plug, I've shared the True Grit stuff off of YouTube. I'll post links into this within the description. So if you haven't already subscribed to True Grit on YouTube, go do it. Do you want to sort of plug your Twitter and whatnots?
Yeah, so everything's True Grit Wrestle on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and yeah, YouTube. And finally, I had a call about this today. We are going to be releasing our website, I hope, within the next few weeks, which has taken bloody age. And I was actually so pissed off with them because I actually initially hired these guys like back in October, and it's just they haven't. It's been back and forth, and they just didn't get it quite right. But today they sent me a draft of it, and it's actually looking pretty shit hot. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I've hired them now because they've done a way better job than I would have done. But so that's finally come in. So I'm hoping that will be in place sort of in the next few weeks.
Sweet. Well, I should give
TrueGritWrestling.com.
I'll start posting links and stuff as well, because that's again that's something sort of a bit different and it's interesting. And I presume you're going to have like obviously information on upcoming shows, previous shows.
We will.
Obviously the roster.
We'll have roster. We'll have news, and I think you'll be able to get your tickets off there as well. That's how we'll do it as well. Just so I'll have a bit more of control over all that sort of stuff. Really, because now after this show, I've got a bit of a gap until July till the next one. So now it's all about sort of building all the sort of behind the scenes stuff, the website, the YouTube, the socials. So then when we come back for our next show in York in July, everything's just in place and looking good. That's kind of like, because I want this to be my full-time job, and I've kind of got like a 2-year plan of building, and then I want to be in a place where it can be my full-time job. Hopefully my current employers won't watch this podcast. But that's
I'm sure they'll understand.
Yeah,
I'm sure they know you well enough to be like, we kind of figured that already. You know, we kind of know what he wants. So
yeah, well, I left the country I was living in about 10 years ago to be a wrestler, so I think they know I'm quite passionate about it.
There you go, exactly.
But yeah, 1st of January 2025, I want to be able to say I've quit my job and I'm doing wrestling full time as a promoter. Yeah, well, definitely. I don't envision myself as a wrestler being my job. I probably still would do that as fun, for a little bit of fun, away from True Grit. But True Grit, I want to be my job in the next couple of years.
Foundations seem to be in a very strong place, so you're just waiting for the things to fall in. Fingers crossed, man. The pieces start to fall, and it slides in, and then it's smooth sailing from there forward. So fingers crossed for you, dude. As it was last time, it's been awesome chatting with you. The fact that we've hit an hour and 20.
Yeah, again, I don't really know what we've chatted about. I guess we ran through the show and all the people on it, but we've gone on a few sidebars as well.
But it's flown by, and we will sort out doing some sort of retro WWE /F pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, that. I was gonna say that was what we decided to do, wasn't it? What we were gonna do? We were gonna do like the best matches of each year in the 90s or something.
Yes. From each promotion or something. Yeah, we'll line it out. We'll have to make like a little sort of specialist sort of episode about
we haven't really talked about our 90s WWF love on this one. I've actually I paused because I was watching all the Raws and Nitros. I got to the end of 96, and just I've been so busy the last few months. Pretty much since all the True Grit shows started again, I've just stopped watching them. So I might get back to that again at some point.
Well, to big up another show on YouTube, I watched it for a while because I just got out of the habit. But there's a channel, there's a guy who reviews Nitro and Raw each week in one episode, and like puts them against each other, like the highs and the lows from each, and say like which was the better episode, Nitro or Raw, kind of thing. And it starts in like the night. It's basically the Monday Night Wars, and on a weekly basis. It's a good way to watch them quickly, but kind of know what's going on. So yeah, I would suggest I thoroughly enjoyed
It's
that.
actually, I was always a WWF guy and I was like sort of loyal to the core, but now I've got to late 96, comparing the Nitros and the Raws, I'm like, wow, the Nitros are way better. I can see why they took over. And if I'd been a bit older, I could have been one of the ones that was going over to Nitro, I reckon. But I don't think I didn't even watch Raw at that point because I didn't have Sky. So I was still getting like videos and watching the pay-per-views and my mates recordings. So yeah, so it wasn't until 97, 98, I think I got Sky. So that was obviously when WWF was getting pretty hot again. Like 97 was a real good year for WWF.
97 is the best year in WWE history, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
think I agree with you. Yeah. Actually, 96, I don't want to put 96 down because it is a really good year. It just, in late 96, the Raws just get a little bit crap. Like there's a few compared to the Nitros, which are good, but the pay-per-views in 96 for WWF were amazing. And I love seeing the rise of, there's a few gems. Like I love seeing the rise of Stone Cold, and like the stuff he did with Bret Hart was amazing. I love the rise of Mick Foley, Mankind in 96 as well. That's another really good. I really like Shawn Michaels' title run as well. That sort of 96 WrestleMania to Survivor Series title run. I think that's pretty good. I know people look back on it like you think he was like, very arrogant and bad behind the scenes, and like, but at the time I didn't know it. Like I feel bad now, like watching his match with Vader at SummerSlam, and like he's just such a dick to him. I'm like, oh, why did you have to do that? But but I do love that year as well.
From a fan's perspective, just watching the matches, the guy was like, it was awesome. Obviously, when you start digging deeper and you find out it's a bit of a twat backstage and stuff, it taints it. But just purely on ring work, the guy's just phenomenal kind of thing. But like the match, I think it was in your house, Michaels versus Mankind. I'm pretty certain that was in '96.
One of my favorite.
Both guys.
Yeah, one of my favorite matches. Definitely, I love that match. Yeah.
So both guys have said it's one. It's up there in their top fives kind of thing. So it went to show that Michaels could be more than just a pretty boy. He could take a beating. He could, go up a level when needed.
Which, because I actually thought of that match when I booked this True Grit Games card. Which match on the card reminds you of Shawn Michaels versus Mankind?
I'll say Rourke, B.A. Rose.
Yeah. As soon as I booked that, I was like, in my head, like I was like, oh yeah, it reminds me of Shawn Michaels and Mankind, like, and just going back to, like, say, getting those opposing styles, like there's just a perfect example of when that worked fantastically, and I'm sure it will work well for them as well. There we go. Hopefully if they hear this, I'm sure Scotty Rourke won't mind being compared to Shawn Michaels. I'm sure B.A. Rose won't mind being compared to Mankind. I think that's one of his favourites.
Exactly. You could do worse than be compared to Mummy Foley's baby boy kind of thing. So, yes, we all sorts of if we just highlight 96, 97, I can just quickly talk about those 2 years in wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll do me. Dude, it's been awesome as always. Like